Hey, welcome back to Hot Dog Sports. This is our first video for the 2021 season. In preparation for fantasy baseball, which we specialize in, we're going to examine each of the teams and their depth chart. This way that we can prepare for fantasy by knowing where the players will be typically in the lineup, if they'll be starters or backups, so on and so forth. Today we're going to be looking at the Washington Nationals. But before we begin, please look down below, subscribe to the channel so that you can stay in touch, and I'll see you on the other side of the introduction. On the day that we're filming this video, the Washington Nationals signed Alex Avila, catcher, as a backup to Yanni Gomes to solidify that position. Trace Berea, and then Wellington Castillo is on their team, which I didn't know until I was looking at the draft. Not that any of those two would be necessarily important. The main one would be Yanni Gomes, and he has a backup with Avila. That's what we need to know. Let's take a look at the starting pitching. First of all, you have Max Scherzer as your number one. In second is Stephen Strasburg. Strasburg's coming off surgery. He only pitched 2 seasons last year. It has been predicted that he will be back for spring training. I've been reading quite a bit to see, because that's really important for the team as a whole, and also to enable Scherzer, who's getting older and pitches a lot of innings, gives him a little leeway so that he doesn't feel he has to do everything. Now they have a really good number 3 in Patrick Corbin. He can be up and down, but for the most part he's consistent, pitches well, is a really good number 3. During the offseason they picked up John Lester, signed him, I can't remember how long, maybe a year. And then finally the number 5 spot is held by Joe Ross, who's been a reliable number 5, and then sometimes will be out of the bullpen as well for the Nationals. We'll go to the main position players, and then we'll come back and talk about the relief pitchers and closers. At first base, a big acquisition during the offseason, Josh Bell, who they got from the Pittsburgh Pirates. That will enable have a young guy there. He had a great season 2 years ago, really didn't do much last year in the shortened season. He could be another all-star that they picked up. He was 2 years ago, actually absolutely fabulous 2 years ago, and ended up being in the MVP discussions. His backup at first is Ryan Zimmerman. No big surprise there. They signed him to another year. Ryan will probably be used mainly as a DH and truly a backup first baseman. At second base, Starlin Castro. Be interesting to see if Starlin gets to keep the position. Good player when he's playing well, can hit the ball well, sometimes loses focus. They have a backup by the name of Luis Garcia, and then a veteran, Josh Harrison's also on the team, another backup for second base. Carter Kieboom as at third base. He showed up a little bit last year. He has some potential. Ever since they made the trade and got rid of Rendon, they've had to rely on a young guy, Carter, to come in, and it looks like he might do a good job for them. Shortstop, one of the best in the National League, Trea. He has a lot of abilities. He'll be a great fantasy player. So far, fantasy players that I would look at is Max Scherzer, the top run pitcher, Trea, top run shortstop, particularly because he does a lot of good. He gets a lot of bases, steals bases, hits home runs, scores a lot of runs. He's at the top of the lineup, a good guy. They picked up Kyle Schwarber from the Cubs, or I guess he was a free agent, but picked him up. I'm going to have him as left field and also back up on the designated hitter to Zimmerman when they play. Center fielder, Victor Robles, very good fielder. Actually, it was kind of a spark plug for the team, if you will. And then in right field, the now perennial young man, but Juan Soto, who's really taken the league by command and should do a great job for them in right field. So let's take a look at their relief squad, including closer. We'll start with the closer, Brad Hand, who they signed in the offseason. Brad was a great closer with the Padres a few years ago. Bounced around a little bit, the Indians and somewhere else, I can't remember. But he is going to be slotted as the closer and could do a very good job for him this year. Something to take into account. Their number one setup man would be Daniel Hudson. Daniel's been with them for a few years after being a starter with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Tanner Rainey is the out of the bullpen, as well as Will Harris, and then they have a few more guys. So it looks like they have a really good squad this year. To me, the only question as a team for the Nationals is second base. Will Castro come through? Will Harrison be a good backup? And other than that, is Strasburg. Is Strasburg going to participate this year and be effective or not? So the big question is, which players should we look at for fantasy baseball? Well, obviously Max Scherzer. Then going down, possibly Brad Hand as a closer. We need closers in fantasy baseball. Josh Bell at first base. Change of scenery, but still in the National League, actually in the National League East. He could be a big impact player. At shortstop, Trea Turner, because his ability to do multiple things, hits and runs and stolen bases and home runs, and he leads off, or number two hitter depending on the situation. He's a great one. Juan Soto. Juan Soto is going to be one of the top 10 selections, I would guess. And then Stephen Strasburg, depending on his physical abilities, if he can come out to be like he was 2 years ago. Thank you for joining us on Hot Dog Sports. I'll see you next time.